We see the pivot into Steelix, looking to bait out any potential fighter or fire type ask, and you shall receive. Outcomes Annihilate. Jeff goes straight for the Psychic Fangs, lowering Annihilate's defense. Annihilate hitting for super effective, but Steelix does not care. Jeff commits a Protect Shield, correctly shielding up the Shadow Ball, and this Annihilate's already in trouble. The annoying Steel Snake already at the next Psychic Fangs, forcing a Protect Shield back. The opponent doesn't commit to the next Shadow Ball. Steelix might be Shadow, but ninetales just simply isn't going to get the job done. Steelix absorbs the damage, reaches one further Psychic Fangs, and we're either going to force switch or the final Protect Shield. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get into today's video, it is League Rotation Day. We've got Master League Premier Cup coming back. As this is the home of Shadow Pokemon, we're going to have a question of the day. I think without a doubt, it's fair to say I have one of the thickest rosters in that format, probably globally. So post down below which Shadow Pokemon you'd like to see in action. These are the options, and there's also a few things I could power up if you want to see it. Of course, that's all for a future video, so let's get into today's video. Today we have an absolute treat for you all. We've got one of my favourite battlers, my good friend Dr. Love, aka Jeff, fellow Fight Club admin, and one of the most unique and talented trainers globally, often appearing on the GBL leaderboard with very unique teams. If you've ever played Ultra League and seen a team of Alolan, Ninetales, Politoad and Mandibizz, that was Jeff's creation way back in Season 7 when XLs were first released. He got all the way on the global leaderboards with it, and then he had an entire group of trainers replicating the team and also hitting Legend. It was a team of around 20 battlers. The team spread like wildfire. If you look at that team, you think, how the hell do you deal with registeel? However, he found a way. And if you look at today's team, you think, how the hell do you deal with a ground type? Currently, I have no idea, but we're about to find out. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we lead Shadow Tentacruel into a regular Tentacruel. Of course, this is a pretty neutral matchup. However, Jeff running an ABB team. We're going to be utilising Steelix as the say switch, looking to bait out any potential fighter or fire type, so Sandslash can sweep the back line, and like magic, out comes Poliwrath. Steelix, unlike Sandslash, not too bad in this matchup, especially when you correctly shield up the Scald. Jeff going straight for the next Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs goes unshielded, and Steelix is about to be a Poliwrath counter confirmed, giving Jeff the option to realign his Pokemon. Jeff has a very different playstyle from me. I often like to 2-shield my Backmon, taking shield advantage. However, Jeff very much likes alignment, and you can see already that was a very good play. As out comes for Alligator instantly greeted with the debuff treatment, and Steelix just refusing to die, reaches one further Psychic Fangs, forcing a Protect Shield back. Jeff can now stick Tentacruel onto Alligator and get his Alolan Sandslash on the opposing Squid, which is a very nice matchup for us. The opponent does have an energy lead, so they are going to be able to outpace us to the Skull, but Sandslash easily tanks one, returns fire with the drill run, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Sandslash now sitting in a very advantageous spot. This is an easy shield, even if the opponent Acid Spray bait us, which they do not. Sandslash going to easily be able to outpace to the super effective drill run. Despite Squidward being tick, this is almost going to secure the knockout. Jeff overfarms, fires off the Ice Punch on the CMP tie. Very nice count in from a very talented battler. Ice Punch secures the knockout. Out comes Gator. Gator going to opt to dump energy. And at this stage, it's already looking like a good game. Our Tentacruel at full health. What is the opponent going to do? At worst, they can hit us with a Crunch if they've got it. The opponent does have Crunch, but that simply isn't going to get the job done. Jeff fires off the Scald. The opponent recognises the game's over and concede the match. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see Squidward into for Alligator. A very nice lead for us, but we still see the pivot into Steelix. Jeff recognising they might have a fighter lurking, and again we've managed to bait it out. Out comes Virizion. Jeff fires off the Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs does hit for super effective, but Virizion is very thick. Likewise, Steelix able to survive one Sacred Sword. Jeff looks to fire off the Psychic Fangs, losing CMP, and we're actually going to see the shield deployed. It looks like Jeff wants to start ripping some shields away from the opponent. The opponent obliges, putting up that Protect Shield back, and they're going to be forced to dump energy. Jeff, happy with Steelix's contribution, opts to let it go down, knowing Tentacruel can easily come in, Poison Jab farm down Virizion, and get a very nice running start. Out comes Ampharos to greet our giant Squid. However, as Jeff has an energy lead, he's going to be able to outpace to the Skull, which is either going to do big damage or force the final Protect Shield. The opponent puts up that Protect Shield, and we see Jeff make a very nice catch back onto Alolan Sandslash. We've already got this Ampharos down below half health. The opponent banks a charge move, then send back out Gator. So I can already see a win con from here. We'll tank the Hydro Cannon, return fire with the Drill Run, look to Poison Jab, farm it down, and save our Protect Shield for the Thunder Punch the opponent's got banked. It looks like that is what Jeff's going to do. We're going to have to tank this charge move, as it, even if it's a crunch, it'll do less than the Thunder Punch. Jeff actually opts to invest that Protect Shield. Uh-oh, can we survive a Thunder Punch? Oof, moment of truth time. Do we survive the Thunder Punch? No, we don't. So I actually think that was a winnable game if we would have just tanked the Hydro Cannon, saved our shield for the Thunder Punch, but you can't win them all. Heading into the next battle. We'll lead Big Squidward into Poliwrath. Hard one lead. The opponent say switches into Giratina, and they're met by the very annoying Steel Snake, Steelix. So dominant in this matchup. To make things worse for the opponent, it looks like their secondary charge move is going to be Ancient Power, as they're opting to throw Dragon Claws into Steelix. So they can't have Shadow Sneak, as of course that would be the correct move to play. Jeff fires off the Crunch. Crunch isn't lethal, which is actually better for us. It gives Steelix even more farm. Back out comes Poliwrath. Despite Jeff having the Psychic Fang banked, he opts to throw one Dragon Tail and the Psychic Fang for optimal fast move timing, and the fact that we threw it good timing means we're definitely going to reach Psychic Fang number 2, and Poliwrath is already finding itself deep in the yellow. Jeff can send out Squidward that is going to completely wall all of this energy. I'm quite surprised to see the opponent throw, to be honest, as anything Poliwrath throws is just going to tickle. The opponent fires off the Scald, then pivot out into Alolan Muck. Dr. Love, aka Jeff, not even looking to bait the Scald, just looking to force the debuff onto Muck's defense. What that is going to allow is a single move from Sandslash to knock out. This is quite an awkward matchup, as one Drill Run isn't lethal and the Shadow Claws are resisted, meaning you're unable to farm down afterwards. Jeff fires off the Drill Run, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. Jeff happy to match Protect Shields. The opponent fires off the Acid Spray bait, but it's simply too little, too late. No bait will be saving this opponent's fate. We return fire with the Ice Punch, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Switch timer pops up. The opponent attempts to snipe with Poliwrath. Sandslash hangs on, fires off the Ice Punch, which isn't lethal, but does put him in Poison Jab farm down range. And this game is just over. Even if the opponent goes for a bait here, that bait will not save the opponent's fate. They full send the Dark Pulse, which is their win con. They're like, please try and shield flex. Jeff's like, nah, I'm going to take the dub, and we're going to move swiftly on. Next up, we see the battle of the poison types. The opponent's like, no thank you, and they save switch into Ampharos. This is a pretty good matchup, as long as the opponent doesn't have Focus Blast. Although, to be honest, as the non-shadow who will survive one, the opponent farms up to it. Jeff looks to call the bait. The opponent full sends the Focus Blast, but Steelix is like, nah, buddy, that just simply isn't going to get the job done. Despite Steelix tanking that big super effective Focus Blast, due to our sub-ground typing, we're still able to maintain alignment and leave with so much energy to fire off at the return in G-Weezy. We fire off the first Psychic Fang that goes unshielded. Steelix, so annoying. Able to reach the second Psychic Fang, getting G-Weezy down below half health. Weezing has access to Overheat, so of course, Jeff gonna send back out Squidward, but it's Scrafty in the back. Sandslash looking like it's got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and Scrafty this season has got access to Thunder Punch. The opponent fires off the Thunder Punch, and this is starting to look rough. Dr. Love spamming out Acid Spray after Acid Spray. Scrafty refusing to invest any Protect Shields. We're going to see Dr. Love invest the Protect Shield, blocking up the next Thunder Punch. Scrafty going to get Poison Jab farm down, and Jeff is instantly pivoting, looking to catch the Brutal Swing. What a play. As the opponent still has 2 Protect Shields, I think the win con from here will be the fast move beatdown. It looks like Jeff opting to throw a charge move. Well, I personally wouldn't throw a charge move, as every time we throw, the opponent is going to sneak a free Fairy Wind. Do they have Overheat? Is it going to be Night? Sleep Tight Sandslash? No, it's not. The opponent's secondary move looks like it's going to be Play Rough, or perhaps the opponent just doesn't want to debuff their own attack. We fire off the next Ice Punch, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Sandslash still out of Brutal Swing range. Sandslash is going to Shadow Claw farm down, and Jeff takes that game. In the next battle, an opposing Sonic the Hedgehog. How the hell do we beat this thing? We're going to see Dr. Love enter the mirror. Oh man, this is rough. Okay, we correctly shield the Drill Run. That's not a bad start. Jeff returning fire with his own Drill Run. Drill Run, go shielded. The opponent continuing to stay in. As the one Shadow Claw ahead, they are going to be able to outpace to a potential Drill Run. The opponent does fire off their own drill run and then send out Squidward. So not only are we weak to Sandslash, the opponent very weak to Sandslash. It's quite funny, they've actually got two of the same Pokemon just in a different order. Jeff not messing around, firing off the next drill run, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Switch timer then pops up and we see the pivot into Squidward. This now sets up a very nice opportunity for our Squid to Poison Jab farm down the opposing Squid and leave with so much energy. The opponent fires off 2 Scalds. Squidward gets a huge farm down and leaves it close to 100 energy. Does the opponent send back out Sandslash? Yes, they do. Sandslash not going to appreciate this Shadow Scald. Scald rocks the opponent deep into the red. Dr. Love doesn't commit to the next Scald. Settles for the Acid Spray. Acid Spray isn't going to be lethal. The opponent banks a charge move. Then send out Tapu Koko. But trainer, we have the complete wall in the form of our Steel Snake. This is kind of a scuffed matchup as our Dragon Tails are double resisted due to Tapu Koko's Fairy typing. However, their Volt Switches are also double resisted due to our sub ground typing. The difference is Steelix completely walls everything in Tapu Koko's arsenal, even if they're running something off meta like Brave Bird that's also resisted, whereas we can hit for neutral with the Psychic Fangs. Jeff heavily overfarms before firing off the next Psychic Fang, which will be secure on the knockout. Sandslash does have a charge move bank, but our own Sandslash is still alive, so the opponent opts not to throw. We reach the Psychic Fang and we take that game. And I suppose that answers my question. That's how you deal with Sandslash. In the next battle, we see the channel mascot Shadow Drapion in the lead. We see the pivot into Steelix. The opponent opts to stay in, likely looking to chip and dip. Steelix absorbs the crunch. The opponent then sends out Poliwrath. Jeff going to go for the Psychic Fang. Psychic Fang does hit for super effective, but isn't all that threatening. However, we are going to reach the second, which will get the opponent below half health. We can then, of course, send out Squidward to completely wall all of Poliwrath's energy. Steelix again putting in so much work. Poliwrath already in the red. Jeff, of course, going to send out Big Squidward to operate as the damage sponge. Switch timers are misaligned, so we should be able to Poison Jab farm down and get Sonic temporarily switch locked on the return in Drapion. The opponent actually opts to send out Venusaur. Switch timer pops up. They pivot back out into Drapion and Sonic is core breaking the remainder of the opponent's team. We fire off the drill run, forcing the opponent's first Protect Shield. We see the instant no shield deployed from Jeff. Of course, you don't want to shield the first move as Crunch comes with a 30% chance to debuff our defense. The opponent, of course, gets that debuff, but Jeff very much in the driver's seat. The opponent, interestingly, is on Aqua Tail. Jeff shields it up, returns fire with the next drill run. The opponent tanks the damage. Get that Drapion off my screen. I'm so sorry, mascot, but unfortunately, it isn't your time to shine, and Jeff takes that game. In the next battle, we see both Pokemon hitting each other for super effective, but look at the stat product difference. These Shadow Poison Jabs hitting Tapu Koko for absurd damage. Jeff forces a Protect Shield, and we see a savage Thunderbolt catch onto the Steel Snake. Not only was Jeff able to make a ruthless catch, we've also baited out a Fire type, which now means that Sandslash doesn't have to see it. The opponent continuing to farm up energy, allowing Steelix to make the second Psychic Fang and even forcing a Protect Shield. The opponent now finds himself all shields down. Holy crap, Steelix usage is down, but after watching this video, I don't particularly know why, as it looks even more annoying than it used to be. Jeff sends out Tentacruel. The opponent fires off the Flame Charge. This must be a boosted fly, right? The opponent fires off yet another Flame Charge, so that reveals their second move is going to be Brave Bird. However, Talonflame is now completely energy dry. The opponent saves Talonflame on a sliver of HP and then send out Cresselia. Jeff just happy to stay in, looking to force some energy. I think I personally would have pivoted here, but it looks like regardless of what Jeff does, this is going to be game, set and match. Sonic going to be a complete wall to all of this energy. He just needs to make sure he's got energy good to go for when Talonflame inevitably comes in looking for the snipe. Jeff is farming up to 100 energy. Cresselia completely helpless in this battle. They fire off the Moonblast, then pivot back out into Tapu Koko. Jeff going to knock it out with the Ice Punch. If Talonflame comes in here, we just want and throw the Ice Punch. If Cresselia comes in, we just Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent waits out their clock. Send out Cresselia. Cresselia gets farmed down. Give him the BM drill run, Jeff. Jeff doesn't go for the bad manners play. Ice Punch is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see the battle of the poison types. Jeff instantly pivots into Steelix, which is our soft counter. Steelix is going to take neutral from these Frenzy Plants as ground takes super effective and steel resist. Frenzy Plant, a busted move as ouch that hurt. Jeff tanked the damage, throws one Dragon Tail and the Psychic Fang for optimal fast move timing. As we have debuffed their defense, I think we should be able to Dragon Tail farm down. Venusaur's going to get there in 5. Jeff looks for the farm down, unfortunately unable to get it. Jeff actually looking to force alignment at all costs, happy to go down both Protect Shields. Steelix does leave with energy, but we have no Protect Shields to hide behind. Out comes Guzzlord. Jeff fires off the crunch. The opponent, fearful of the break-in swipe, which we don't have, invest that Protect Shield. Jeff then fires off the Psychic Fang. Psychic Fang will be lowering the opponent's defense. We now send out Sandslash. Sandslash, of course, can hit for super effective with the Ice Punch, but Dark does resist Ghost, so our quick move is resisted. The opponent fires off the crunch. Jeff pauses, fires off the Ice Punch, ensuring Guzzlord is still on our screen. We force the opponent's final Protect Shield and then see the pivot into Tentacruel. The opponent continues to stay in. With that debuff defense, these poison jabs are doing absurd damage. Jeff looks for the kill shot, fires off the Scold. Scold will be securing the knockout. What the heck is that? XL Fracture. What a pick from the opponent. The opponent looks for that Dragon Tail farm down, but Squidward able to reach the Scold. Scold is resisted, although it does not look like it. Can Sandslash survive a Night Slash or Aqua Tail? Moment of truth. The opponent running Aqua Tail. Sandslash survives the damage. The Shadow Claw knocks him out and Jeff takes that game. In the next battle, we see the battle of two very bulky beasts. Squidward into the annoying Flying Vulture Mandibizz, essentially Umbreon of the skies. The opponent fires off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse doesn't do too much as Mandibizz hits like a wet noodle. Jeff then one and throws the Scold. For good timing, Scold rocks the opponent below half health. We then see the pivot into Steelix, once again baiting out a fighter. Annihilate being non-XL, more on the glassy side of things, doesn't appreciate these Psychic Fangs and doesn't absorb them anywhere near as well as Poliwrath. We land the first. Jeff correctly shields up the Shadow Ball, then one and throws the next Psychic Fangs. Poliwrath able to absorb two, but Annihilate forced to invest the Protect Shield. The opponent then doesn't commit to the Shadow Ball. Night Slash simply is not going to get the job done. Jeff tanks the damage. The opponent looks for the counter farm down. Steelix refuses to die, reaches the next Psychic Fang, and we're either going to force the final shield or take back switch. Steelix is an Annihilate counter confirmed. You heard it here first. Back out comes Mandibizz. Mandibizz gets the Snarl farm down, but Jeff has the option to realign. Out comes Sonic. The opponent pivots into Ampharos. We go straight for the Drill Run. Drill Run lands for big damage, and the opponent says, no thank you, I'm out of here, concede the match, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Greedent in the lead. If you thought Steelix or Tentacruel are annoying, this Squirrel is so bulky and so spammy. Only takes him 4 mud shots, 2 a body slam, and 5 to the crunch. The opponent fires off the crunch, fishing for that debuff. Although, speaking of bulky, look how much a Shadow Scold does. What's going on here? Game? Fucking hell, we're getting a huge amount of lag. Jeff toggles, turning off his Wi-Fi, pivots into Steelix, and once again, we managed to bait out a fire type. We fire off the crunch. Not at the best timing, as you can see the Incinerate hit us afterwards. However, it lands for big super effective damage. Jeff then correctly shields up the Shadow Ball, which means this Skeledirge is only going to reach a disarming voice, and Steelix once again is going to cheese its way for a matchup. It probably has no right in winning. Jeff able to get the Dragon Tail farm down. Back out comes the chunky Squirrel. We fire off the Psychic Fang. Psychic Fang, to my surprise, forced a Protect Shield, and the opponent opts to dump energy. Even a body slam from this range will be lethal. Jeff then sends back out Squidward. Squidward is outside of body slam or crunch range. The opponent fires off the crunch. We see the Simul swap. Sandslash into Tentacruel. Tentacruel and Greedent are like two bum chums or two peas in a pod. They normally come in pairs, most commonly with Guzzlord. Shout out Home Slice Henry for creating the world's most annoying team. Jeff was able to land the Drill Run. We absorb the Scold. As Tentacruel is in the red, Jeff opts to fire off the Ice Punch. The opponent knows that's only an Ice Punch, unwilling to shield, but they then get Shadow Claw farmed down afterwards. Back out comes Greedent. Greedent very deep in the red. Jeff invests the Protect Shield, shielding up the crunch, returns fire with one further Ice Punch, which should be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, which it does. Jeff then farms up, looks to make a catch onto Squidward, unsuccessfully. The opponent looks to double up on charge moves. Tentacruel reaches the Acid Spray, and Acid Spray picks up the dub. GG's. In the next battle, we see Jellicent in the lead. Not a great lead for Tentacruel. We see the pivot into Steelix, baiting out Virizion. Hopefully with Virizion out the way, Sandslash will not only be good against Jellicent, but also good against whatever's in the back. We tank the Sacred Sword, return fire with the Psychic Fang. Psychic Fang also goes unshielded. Virizion has the pacing advantage in this matchup, taking only 3 double kicks to each charge move, whereas we take 4. Jeff happy to invest the Protect Shield, looking to strip some shields off the opponent. The opponent obliges, putting up a Protect Shield in return. The opponent unable to double kick farm us down. Steelix again manages to get Virizion into the red. Steelix is just such a menace on that save switch, putting in so much work. Even in matchups it soft loses. Jeff Poison Jab farms down. We see the pivot into Sandslash and out comes Greedent. The opponent has had perfect alignment throughout. They've had a Ghost type into our Poison type, the Fighter locked in against our Steel type, and we've now got our Legacy Shadow Claw Sandslash stuck against the normal type running Mud Shot. I'll be honest, this game looks more or less over, but I'm not going to write Jeff off yet. Let's see if he can cook something up. To add insult to injury, the opponent manages to get the debuff with the Crunch. Jeff then forced to shield up the next Crunch. He's going to return fire with the Drapion, and we definitely need to catch, although I don't even think a catch saves us at this point. We look to snipe with Tentacruel. The opponent sees the snipe, pivot back out into Jellicent. Is there any way we can debuff the shit out of this thing enough? I don't think so. Jeff lands the Scold. One Shadow Ball isn't going to knock us out. However, the opponent still has a Protect Shield as well. Too high behind Jeff, able to outpace to the next Scold. But you can see the opponent doesn't even need to shield this, which they don't. The opponent is then going to knock us out with a Shadow Ball. The opponent has overfarmed as well, so I don't even think we can Shadow Claw farm us down before the opponent reaches the Surf. The opponent won and froze the Surf. Surf probably knocks us out from this range, and if it doesn't, the opponent will be able to Hex farm us down or Mud Shot farm us down, and we're going to take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we've got Shadow and Shadow Crime, the oppressive Shadow Dragonite versus the oppressive Shadow Squidward. Jeff shields up the Dragon Claw, farms to the Scold, baits with the Acid Spray. Acid Spray gets called. The opponent then pivots out into Ampharos, and we respond with Steelix, also a Shadow from the opponent. Hopefully we get to see some triple Shadow on triple Shadow Crime. We've already been Focus Blast once in this video. This one is a Shadow, so it will knock out if they've got it. Once again, Jeff looks to call the bait, and the opponent throws the Brutal Swing, suggesting perhaps they haven't got it. The opponent fires off one further Brutal Swing. Steelix easily able to absorb the damage and get the full Dragon Tail farm down. Out comes the Fighter. Once again, Jeff smiling ear to ear, knowing Sandslash isn't going to have to face it. The opponent looks for the counter farm down. The ever annoying Steel Snake able to reach one further Psychic Fang, forcing a Protect Shield. We send out Tentacruel. The opponent pivots back out into Dragonite. We respond with Sandslash. The opponent reaches the last second move. We respect it. It's only a Dragon Claw. Sandslash able to get the full Shadow Claw farm down. Back out comes Poliwrath. Poliwrath greeted with the Drapion. Drapion force a protection. We really need the opponent to throw. The opponent committing to their win con, which is the counter farm down. We reach one further Drapion. Drapion isn't lethal, and I don't think they're in one Poison Jab range. Is that Poison Jab enough to knock out? No, it's not, and the opponent is going to fire off back-to-back charge moves and take that game. Well played to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see a familiar lead with Squidward versus the bulky Squirrel. This opponent opts to go straight Body Slam. Body Slam is more energy efficient, although the last opponent was looking to fire off the Crunch, fishing for that 30% debuff chance. Jeff tanks the Body Slam, returns fire with the Scold. Scold does so much damage and gets the attack drop. We then see the pivot into Steelix. The opponent opts to fire off the Crunch, which just tickles, especially after the debuff. The opponent continues to stay in, so Jeff takes the initiative, goes straight for the Psychic Fang. Psychic Fang isn't lethal, but not only has the opponent got a debuffed attack, they've now got a debuffed defense to contend with. The opponent fire off one further Crunch, then eventually pivot out into Tentacruel, and it becomes very apparent why the opponent stayed in, as they don't really have a Steelix answer. If you're looking to climb in ELO, you need to start recognising common team comps. So as I said previously, Greedent and Tentacruel are often paired together, so if you see one, expect the other. Jeff shields up the Scold, takes advantage of the misaligned switch timers and pivots back out into his own Squid, saving Steelix, recognising the opponent is probably pretty weak. Jeff then returns fire with his own Scold. Scold isn't lethal. The opponent's going to be unable to Poison Jab, farm us down. The opponent actually sends out Guzzlord, so it was the team I was expecting, although they're running ABA rather than ABB. So what I mean by that is most people run Tentacruel in the lead as their anti-fighter, and they're the two things weak to counter in the back, whereas this opponent is actually running a weird ABA variant of the same team. So the most common way of playing this team composition would be lead Tentacruel, safe switch into Greedent, looking to draw out the counter user, allowing Guzzlord to sweep the back line. This opponent evidently is just going to sack Greedent if they see a fighter in the lead, poison jab farm down with Tentacruel, and hope Guzzlord can still sweep regardless. Sonic now looking primed to sweep this back line. The opponent saves Guzzlord, pivot back out into Greedent, Ice Punch, knocks out Greedent. The opponent still has two Pokemon alive. Jeff still has a Protect Shield as well, so I don't really know why the opponent is playing it out. Evidently they recognise the game's over, or I thought they did as they wasn't attacking. They send out Guzzlord, Guzzlord gets farmed down, Tentacruel also gets farmed down, and Jeff takes that game. In the next battle, we see another opposing Sonic the Hedgehog. Last time we was able to come back from this. Can we go 2 for 2? We pivot into Sandslash. Oh, get baited with an Ice Punch. Undeterred, Jeff not looking to kill any poor defenseless cat. Full sends a drill run, which goes unshielded. Let's go, Jeff. Happy to invest both Protect Shields. This one is going to be the drill run. We are down 2 Protect Shields, but Sonic is out of the way, and the opponent sends out Jellicent. Jellicent going to be greeted with the drill run. Drill run lands for some decent super effective damage. Jeff able to outpace the drill run number 2, which should finally force a Protect Shield off the opponent, which it does. Both Jeff and his opponent not throwing at the best fast move timing, so Jeff ideally would like to throw at 1, 4 or 7, whereas the opponent just needs to throw on odd numbers. Jeff now sends out Steelix. Steelix looks to fire off the crunch but loses CMP. The opponent fires off the surf. Steelix able to survive 2. Crunch is super effective. I don't know if it knocks out from here. It does not. So the opponent pivots out into their own Tentacruel. Jeff able to outpace to the Psychic Fang. I think we need to catch here, or a catch would be favourable. Jeff actually continues to stay in. I think we're just about outside of Scald range. We tank the Scald, save Steelix on a fraction of HP, and enter the Tentacruel mirror. This is going to be quite a tricky endgame for Jeff, as the opponent still has a Protect Shield and have Jellicent available as the third shield. This Scald should be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. And then I guess we're in the catch game. Trainer, what are you doing? I'll take that back. I've got no idea why the opponent didn't shield. They evidently didn't expect the Scald to do so much damage, and they just concede the match. In the next battle, we see the basic bitch tin can PV Poke's number 1 ranked pick, Registeel, which also looks like a big problem for this team. We land the Scald, Tentacruel able to survive a Zap Cannon. It's a lot more comfortable if we get an attack debuff. We didn't get the attack debuff the first time, so see Jeff invest that Protect Shield and go fishing for that 30% chance once again. Show me the debuff. Jeff manages to go 2 for 2 on no debuffs. The opponent got the attack drop on the first go of it. So when people ask me, do I believe in religion? I tell them all I do is pray daily to them RNG gods. And anyone that's watched my recent uploads, I know I've had so much luck from RNG. RNG is a very much disputed factor of PvP. Of course, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I wish we had less RNG in PvP, but it kind of is what it is. I think it's less RNG this season, mostly thanks to Scald now being a 30% chance, which of course is 3 out of 10 as opposed to a coin flip 50-50 it has been for the previous few seasons. Jeff forces a Protect Shield, pivots into Steelix. Steelix absorbs the Focus Blast and the opponent sends out Squidward. Squidward greeted with the Psychic Fang. As the opponent hasn't answered our Steelix safe switch with either a fighter or a fire type. Hopefully now the opponent has found himself all shields down. Sonic can sweep the back line. We send out Sandslash. Sandslash not messing around, going straight for the drill run. Drill run, easily going to knock out. Get that Squidward off my screen. The opponent's final Pokemon is Dragon Breath Giratina. This is game, set and match. We fire off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch would have went unshielded. The opponent has no Protect Shields, but it looks like they've give up and Jeff takes that game. And that is going to draw to a close today's showcase. Huge shout out to my friend Jeff, aka Dr. Love, for showing us another very unique, very annoying team in the Open Ultra League. This team is very expensive and very XL heavy. But if you're someone that's grinded and have these Pokemon available, give it a try for yourself and go annoy the shit out of all your opponents. Don't forget to answer the question of the day. Tell me down below what Shadow Pokemon you'd like to see me run in the Master League Premier Cup. If, like Jeff, you'd like your battles featured on my channel, a link to a battle submission form is down below. Don't forget to smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. I'd just like to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.